Hello and welcome. My name is Drew Dixon. I'm here with Scott Pinson. We're with John Dixon and Associates. And every now and then we do an episode we call Ask the Auctioneer. We get questions periodically and we just wait till we have 4 or 5 questions and then put out an episode answering those questions. So that's what we have today. We've had several people call, and a lot of people call with the same questions.
That's right. That's right. I'd say probably 85 to 90% of the questions we get are about the same ones. So we try to cover those on this edition of the podcast.
That's right. Do stay tuned after we get done talking about these questions. Scott's going to entertain us with another trivia question.
And also, if you're watching us on YouTube, remember to like or subscribe. Hit the like and subscribe button on the YouTube channel.
Well, Scott, what's our first question?
Well, so we're going to ask Drew, the auctioneer. Of course, we're both licensed auctioneers, but Drew is the auctioneer that actually does the call and does the chant for our properties. Drew is actually in the Hall of Fame of the state of Georgia for auctioneers. So I don't know if our viewers know that. So, yeah, thought that I'd just ask the auctioneer. These are questions that have kind of been compiled. Some of the questions are the same, so we condense those down into the same ones. But over the last several weeks, it's been a while since we've done this, but we have gotten some good questions and thought we would just fire those at the auctioneer. So to begin with, James up in Elberton, Georgia, he asks, what's the starting bid price?
Okay, we get that all the time. We don't have a starting bid price. You know, you can start it. We ask for a starting bid from the crowd. If you're online bidding, you'll see a suggested opening bid, but you know, to us, it's really not that important where we start off. It's where we end that is the main thing. And to be honest, as the auctioneer, I kind of like starting it low. It gets everyone involved, gets a little excitement going in the room and online, gets people used to bidding and the act of it. So, you know, where it starts, we ask the crowd to give us a starting bid. So there are no set starting bids at our auction. Some auction companies do put an opening bid out there, but for us, we believe in letting the crowd determine what that starting bid is, and for that matter, let the crowd determine what the final bid is. You know.
Yep, I think if you're a seller, I think one of the things you need to understand is that the properties that are going to sell at auction are going to sell around market value.
That's right.
Now, it's almost impossible to determine what that market value is that day. Our boss, John Dixon, would say that the crowd today is going to appraise this property. You're going to determine what this property is worth today. But I think I try to look to see what's behind the question. And so if it's a $50,000 property, we're not going to start the bidding at $5.
No.
So, but we have an idea of what the property's going to bring just from talking to all the people that call in saying that they're interested in this property. So we do have an idea. We do a lot of due diligence, but we're gonna start the bid, or you're going to start the bid at something that's pretty reasonable.
That's right. You know, and to tell you, Trey, I'm not going to take a bid of less than $500. You know, people that want to bid 100, you're just, I don't want to say wasting time, but you know, if you're there to steal it, that's great. But we're in it for, it's a serious event. You know, we aren't there to play around. We're there to get this transaction done, and we take it serious and want the bidders to take it serious. So we aren't going to let people just fool around bidding $1, $100, or something of that nature. It's just not right in our eyes.
And if you've been to our auction, you know that we're turn and burn. We're not going to be there for hours.
No.
So we're gonna see who's got interested in this property. We're going to accept the bids, and then we're going to sell it and move on to the next.
That's right. You can kind of estimate the time of an auction. For us, it's about 20 properties, 20 offerings an hour, something around that.
Yep.
You know, that can vary, of course. depending on the activity, or someone starting it low and it taking a while to get up there. But you can kind of figure about 20 offerings for an hour.
Yep. All right. So the next one, this kind of folds right into what we were just talking about. But Bob down in Ocilla, Georgia, he writes, if I sell my property absolute, what if it brings $1? We get that a lot too.
Yeah, and you know, it's hard to tell someone, well, yeah, I can tell you this. In my experience, I've been in the business 30 some odd years. I've never seen it happen. You know, it's amazing uh, the amount of people and interest you get
Substantially more. Yeah.
on a
Definitely.
property selling absolute than with the reserve, because they know it's going to sell. You know, they aren't wasting their time in their mind, you know, just thinking a seller wants the moon. Um, they're there to get a great deal, but we've sold a property uh, twice where we sold it with reserve. It didn't meet the reserve. Then we sold it again. It was absolute. It brought much more than it brought when it had a reserve when we sold it absolute.
That's right. And we've had a lot of sellers that are veterans with us who have sold a lot of properties with us. They understand that. A lot of times it could be a family estate, and this is the first time they've ever sold anything at auction. It makes them nervous to sell at absolute. But you and I both know that if you sell something absolute, it's going to bring exponentially more interest. That means that more people are bidding. That means the prices go up. I have no problem saying that if you sell a property absolute, it's going to bring more money. It just does.
That's
And
right.
we've got proof of that. Sometimes I'll have sellers that will sell some properties with a reserve and other properties absolute, and the absolute properties always bring the most.
That's right. But
So,
you know, for the sellers that just, you know, they've got an emotional. I tell people, if it's going to keep you up at night, cause ulcers, don't sell it absolute. It's not worth that to you, the seller. You know, we aren't going to try to convince you. We're going to share our experience with it, tell you, give our suggestions. But in the end, it's your property. You make the final call on that. So that's about all we can do is share our experience. And like I said, we do, if we've done our job, we're going to have people at the auction, have people online. You know, we excel at marketing these properties. We have you know, well, tens of thousands of people in our database that get heads up when we're doing auctions. We haven't done any where one person's been there and tries that $1. It's never happened in my experience as of yet. Um, so that's all. That's what I got to say to that one.
yep. We just get that question a lot.
Sure.
And so when Bob wrote in, I just thought we'd address it today. So Jennifer down in Gainesville, Florida, she asked, do you only sell foreclosed homes? I get this question a lot too.
That's right. We haven't sold a foreclosed home since the pandemic started because banks quit foreclosing on homes. That will be starting up again. And, you know, if we're selling for a bank, more than likely they had foreclosed on it. It's a property they own now, and they're just looking to clear their books. That hasn't started back up. But what we're hearing and from our contacts at various banks, that's going to be starting back up either late fourth quarter, but definitely by next year. But right now, we haven't sold a foreclosed property, and like I said, since the pandemic hit, we're selling for individuals. We do some bank properties; they aren't necessarily foreclosed property. We've done some for their trust department. You know, they're managing a property for an individual, or it's an estate, and they contact us to sell it for them. But as of late, we're selling for individuals, those investors out there that buy buy something from one of their contacts cheap and want to flip it and make a quick buck, and God bless them for that.
Well, and people, I think, again, kind of what's behind this question. People think that when they see auction, they think of distressed properties.
Mhm.
And the majority of properties that we sell are not distressed. But there's multiple reasons. People ask me, why would someone want to sell at auction? There's multiple reasons. The main reason is they just want to turn that property into cash and they want to do it quickly. There's a lot of reasons why people would want to sell at auction and get that money in 30 days.
Sure.
30 days
They
closing.
sell it on their terms.
Yep. It's a good question. Dan in Talladega, Alabama, he writes, how much will it cost me to put my property in an auction? Again, it's a good question. We get that a lot.
Sure, it's something we have to address with every person that calls in. You know, and that varies. There is a fee. There is marketing cost to every auction. You can't have an auction unless you spend some money in marketing. You know, a standalone auction, if you've got a farm and you want it to be sold at auction by itself, you know, it's a large farm, that can range, you know, probably 15,000 and up. We've had auctions with $100,000 marketing fees. We have here in the past few years there's someone calling now to put a property in.
Call from February social media.
We have put together a program, we call it our multi-seller auctions, where we combine sellers. You know, if you've got a residential lot somewhere, it's not feasible to do an auction just on that lot.
Right.
It just doesn't make sense. However, you put a bunch of sellers together, they share in that marketing cost. You know, a pro rata share, they can range from $500 to $3,000, depending on how much marketing needs to be done for that property. If they individual ads, it's just a you know, a bunch of different factors in that. But with all the marketing, that, you know, it's your signs, your ads, the color brochure, mailing, and so a lot of times around 5,000 brochures out to various people that have called about that, some people that have requested in that area to be notified. So there's many different factors that go into determining the marketing costs, but typically in those multi-sellers, the pro rata shares anywhere from $500 to $3,000. Rarely is it more or less than that.
Well, and remember, we were talking about you've got to get the word out. So we have to conduct marketing so that people know what these properties are and when the auction's going to be. So that's why we charge an upfront marketing fee. But remember, as a seller, that's the only thing that they're going to pay.
That's right.
The buyer will pay everything else, including all the closing costs, including how we earn our commission. So there's a small upfront marketing fee that you have to pay to be included in the auction. We keep that as low as we can, but we've got to do a good marketing campaign.
And 9 times out of 10, we spend more than we budget for. We spend more than we collect 9 times out of 10, because we know if we don't, you know, market it correctly, there's no use to do it. You got to, you know, it's all about the property selling, closing, and collecting the money.
I think it is very fair to say that whatever the marketing fee you pay is, you're going to get way more marketing than what that fee costs. So we try to be good stewards of the marketing fees.
Nationwide campaign, and we can, you know, be happy to give you a line-by-line item of what the auction costs. And you can see for yourself how much more marketing you receive for the nominal fee you pay.
The last question we have here is Barbara from Montgomery, Alabama. Do you work with real estate agents? Again, good question. I get this a lot.
That's right. We do quite a bit. You know, whether it be the real estate agent calls us, they've got a client that you know, for one reason or another, just hadn't been getting any action on the listing. The client's getting restless, wondering why they aren't getting offers, and you know, they're telling the agent, look, you got to get this sold or we're going to end this relationship. Well, we have agents all over that call us and say, look, we got to do something. And you'll be amazed at when an auction sign goes on a piece of property beside that real estate agent's sign, how many calls that real estate
That's
agent
right.
will get.
That's right.
So yeah, we work with real estate agents, and whether it be the owner call us and say, look, I got this property listed. I sure would like to do an auction, but I have an active listing. Well, we can't just if a property is listed, we can't do an auction on it unless we have an agreement with that said listing agent. So we can work with that agent however we need to. We always pay a agent 2% of the commission if they register someone who buys at our auction.
That's right.
So there's several ways an agent can get paid. And you know, an agent that brings us a piece of property, you know, not only will they get paid a portion of bringing it, but they can also, they probably know who's going to buy it, get them registered, and get paid at both ends. And, you know, we see that happen a lot.
We love working with agents. It's a foundation of our business, and we enjoy very good relationships with real estate agents. They realize, hey, we can get this gone. You were talking about if they already have a listing. So as the auctioneer, we will be the seller's listing agent. So they would need to either terminate that listing agreement. We would continue working with that agent even though it's terminated, but we would take that role as the listing agent.
Right. And you know, that's the questions we had prepared. They may have sparked more questions. Please feel free to email either of us. I'm Drew at johndixon.com. This is Scott at johndixon.com. Love to hear from you, get your questions answered. And without further ado, Scoot, what kind of trivia
question today. So you see, I'm drinking out of this limited edition John Dixon Associates coffee mug. If you know the answer to the question I'm going to ask, or if you just want to guess, the first correct answer, I'll mail out a John Dixon Associates coffee mug to you. My email is scott@johndixon.com. So if you think you know, let us know, or if you even want to Google it, find out the answer, do that. Employees and former employees are not eligible to win.
No.
So let us know if you know the answer to this. What country in the world produces the most silver? We hear a lot about gold, but I think silver's making a strong comeback. And so as far as the precious metal, what country produces the most silver in the world?
Where did that come from?
I don't know. It's a struggle trying to come up with these things.
That's right. Well, make sure to reach out to us. Go to our website, johndixon.com. You can register to be on our e-blast list where we're going to send you out something once a week, let you know what's going on, what's coming up.
Next auction?
That's right. We've got one coming up August 30th.
August 30th.
So be ready for that one.
We'll be sending a property list out on that pretty quick. That will also be posted online probably by the end of the week.
That's right. That's right.
We're going out putting up signs this week on the properties.
So make sure, stay in touch with us. Call us at our office, 770-425-1141. Like I said, email us. Just reach out. Let us know what you'd like us to talk about. And we sure appreciate you joining.